Oh, okay. Raphael, if you want to. Okay. Actually, we got a quorum, so we can start right now. So, yeah. So, Dave, we're ready. Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of August 12th, 2024. I am now going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'll go ahead and read through the usual descriptions on how to submit public comments, etc. after roll call, which is the first point where public comment becomes relevant. So we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could rise to join me for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And next we have our land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Ohlone people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Ohlone elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Ohlone land, the land that Pinole sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Ohlone people for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Now, Mr. Hannum, can we have the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Uch?
Present.
Commissioner Huey?
Here.
Commissioner Lamb-Julie? Absent, but we do have she will probably be later tonight, but for right now she's absent. Commissioner Sandoval?
Present.
Commissioner Bender?
Present.
Vice Chair Martinez? Absent. And Chair Minnis?
Present.
Let the chair know we have 5 voting members tonight, so we can take action on all items on the agenda. Thank you.
Very good. And now I'm going to go ahead and move through the standard bookkeeping part for how to submit public comments. You can, of course, attend the meeting in person at 2131 Pear Street and fill out a yellow comment card and submit it. Or, much more easily, you can do so via Zoom. And the webinar ID for that is 865-0537-5301. And the URL for that is https://us02web.zoom.us/j/865-053-75301. You can also call in by phone to 1-669-900-6833 or 1-253-215-8782 or 1-346-248-7799. Speakers will be asked to provide their name and city of residence, although providing this is not required for participation. Each speaker will be afforded up to 5 minutes to speak. Speakers will be muted up until their opportunity to provide public comment. When the chair opens the comment period for the item you wish to speak on, please use the raise hand feature or press *9 if connecting via telephone, which will alert staff that you have a comment to provide, and press *6 to unmute. To comment with your video enabled, please let the planning manager know you would like to turn your camera on once you are called to speak. You can also submit written comments by email to dhanham@pinole.gov, preferably before the meeting actually starts. Please include your full name, city of residence, and agenda item that you are commenting on. All right. There's also other ways to watch the meeting. You can watch it live on Channel 26. It's also video streamed live on the city's website, pinole.gov. If none of these options are available to you, or if you need assistance with public comment, please contact Planning Manager David Hanham at 510-724-8912 or dhanham@pinole.gov. In compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, if you need special assistance to participate in a city meeting, or you need a copy of the agenda or the agenda packet in an appropriate alternative format, please contact the city clerk's office at 510-724-8928. Notification at least 48 hours prior to the meeting or time when services are needed will assist the city staff in assuring that reasonable arrangements can be made to provide accessibility to the meeting or service. Staff reports can be found on the city website at pinole.gov. You may also contact the city clerk via email at hbell@pinole.gov. Persons wishing to speak on an item listed on the agenda may do so when the chair asks for comments in favor of or in opposition to the item under consideration. After all of those persons wishing to speak have done so, the hearing will be closed and the matter will be discussed among the commission prior to rendering a decision. Any person may appeal an action of the Planning Commission or of the Planning Manager by filing an appeal with the city clerk in writing within 10 days of such action. Following a public hearing, the City Council may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the Planning Manager. The cost to appeal a decision is $500, and there is a minimum $2,500 deposit fee. Note, if you challenge a decision of the Commission regarding a project in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing, or in writing delivered to the City of Pinole at or prior to the public hearing. And I'll note the bit of the Ralph M. Brown Act that we have on all our agendas that underpins all of this. Government Code 54950. In enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards, and councils of other public agencies of the state exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. And now I will go ahead and open up citizens to be heard. The public may address the Planning Commission on items that are within its jurisdiction and not otherwise listed on the agenda. Planning commissioners may discuss the matter brought to their attention, but by state law, the Ralph M. Brown Act, action must be deferred to a future meeting. The time allowed is 5 minutes each, and before we open that, I should probably do the usual ex parte statements. I sent out the usual email ex parte to my email list. I also briefly discussed the topics we'd be discussing on this meeting on Saturday with Irma Report, David Report, and Councilmember Murphy. Now, opening citizens to be heard.
Okay, Chair. We have a caller with the number ending in 5748. It sounds like you are almost ready to speak, so when you're ready, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm a senior citizen of Pinole, over 40 years, residing in Pinole Valley, homeowner, taxpayer. My name is Anthony. I have a few questions to ask in my allotted 5-minute comment on behalf of myself, some friends, neighbors, and concerned citizens of Pinole. a while back, I had asked, we had asked what was going on with the trees that were being cut down and up and down the middle of Pinole Valley Road, specifically along the sidewalk frontage road area of Pinole Valley Road, where Ellerhurst School is located, and across the street, directly across the street from the Pinole Fire Station number 74. It started out with about half a dozen trees that were taken down near their school cyclone fence line, basically to the ground, to the bottom of the stump. And I don't know if it was an aesthetic thing or whatever. And then they seemed recently to take the bottom half of the tree lines and knock the other half a dozen trees down, a combination of large, old, I'd say somewhere over 50 years old plus. I remember seeing them there for over 50 years. Large redwood trees and pine trees. And so what's the reasoning for all of them? I know maybe half of them were growing near telephone poles, and for years they were just trimming out the branches and along the telephone lines, but now they decided to take them all down, and the other half weren't really touching the poles or the lines at all. But somebody got a bright idea to take them all down, and you know that goes against the carbon emission act that we're trying to have clean air in and around our city, because the trees you know, work with the carbon emissions or against the carbon emissions that are pretty heavy, especially up and down high traffic areas on Pinole Valley Road, Appian Way, and so on. So was that part of the school district that did that? Did they need a permit under our tree ordinance 17.96? So can we get that answered and addressed once and for all, and that they were also under that ordinance, for every tree they take down, they're supposed to replace it by at least one tree. And I haven't seen or heard any activity about replacing those trees. Secondly, the city has seemed to establish itself to have either an unwritten policy or unwritten policy or reputation that is, I hate to put it bluntly, but the word is that if something is broke, they have a 3 week, 3 month, 3 year fix or no fix policy. And that has been going on over the past 3 years or more. Case in point, street light outages, broken traffic signs up and down Appian Way and Pinole Valley Road. I know they replaced a whole bunch of, or put some new signs on San Pablo Avenue, basically, but they didn't extend them out to Pinole Valley Road that had signs taken out in the medial strip, and as well as roughly over a dozen stoplights on Pinole Valley Road, up and down from one end to the other, and
30 seconds
San Pablo
remaining.
Avenue, and parking lots, public parking lots throughout our city. The parking lot in question behind the police station, though, that they want to put up wrought iron cyclone fencing. It's funny, all those have been replaced. You know, how many city public workers does it take to screw or check the light bulbs in our public parking lots, if not our busy streets that go unlit for quite a while? And those signs should be replaced.
Go ahead and conclude your sentence, please.
They haven't been attended to in short order. So rather than have a turn a deaf ear or a blind eye to some of those things, and they want to get the tax initiative passed in November, they better take care of some basic infrastructure housekeeping in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public commenters?
I don't see any other hands raised right now.
All right, I'll give it 10 seconds just to check and see, because sometimes people forget to raise their hands for a bit. Any commenters?
No.
All right, in that case, I will close citizens to be heard. And does the commission want to discuss any of the items that Mr. Rosberg brought up? I think we might be able to ask questions about the nature of the tree removal. Were those removed by PG&E or the city or the school district?
I don't know. If the trees are removed if the trees are removed on school district property, that's the school district. We have no authority on their grounds. So our codes do not apply to the school district. So if they're on school property, then no. If the trees are within the PG&E easement, they still have to get a tree removal permit as part of the process, from my understanding. But I'm not quite sure of the exact tree, so I'd have to check with Sanjay regarding what trees got taken down and who did it. So
I'm not sure whether that rises to the level of action being taken by the commission or not, but could you look at that and let us know what happened?
yeah, I can do that.
And then let's see. The point about there being a reputation cost to the city of things being left unfixed over time is noted and appreciated. Are there any comments other members of the commission want to make at this time? All right, in that case, let's go ahead and move on to the meeting minutes. There's a couple of points within the minutes I'm unsure on. I wasn't able to back check for exact timing, but on page 10, lines 24 and 25, it says that I said it fell within the action item under policy CS 2.6. And then a little bit later, it says that I said it didn't fall within the item for CS 2.6. I think maybe I said that it didn't fall within in the first part. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then my second point was on page number 12, line number 33, noted conditions 114, 115, 116, 117 as titled were correct as shown. I'm not sure why that's there. I think I probably would have noted either an error or that I wouldn't have bothered to highlight those if there wasn't one. I think that's all my comments on the minutes. Do any other commissioners have comments on the minutes? All right, so does anyone on the commission want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the draft meeting minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission for June 10th, 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, can we go ahead and have a roll call?
Commissioner Rich?
To go forward with the motion, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Huey?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandoval?
Yes.
Commissioner Bender?
Yes.
Chair Menace?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, that concludes the meeting minutes, and now we're moving on to public hearings. At the beginning of the item, I will read the description of the item as stated on the agenda. The city staff will then give a brief presentation of the proposed project. The commission may then ask staff questions about the item. For those items listed as public hearings, the chair will open the public hearing and ask the applicant if they wish to make a presentation. Those persons in favor of the project will then be given an opportunity to speak, followed by those who are opposed to the project. The applicant will then be given an opportunity for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed, and the commission may discuss the item among themselves and ask questions of staff. The commission will then vote to approve, deny, approve in a modified form, or continue the matter to a later date for a decision. The chair will announce the commission's decision and advise the audience of the appeal procedure. No public hearings will begin after 11 p.m. Items still remaining on the agenda after 11 p.m. will be held over to the next meeting. However, the current time is 7:22 p.m., so we're still in plenty of time to begin the public hearing. The topic we are going to be discussing tonight is subdivision map, parentheses, SM24-01, close parentheses, Appian Professional Plaza subdivision. So, Mr. Hannum, if you could explain it to us.
Thank you much, Mr. Chair. Tonight before you, we have a small minor subdivision map for the addresses located at 2150 and 2160 Appian Way, along with 1310 through 1330, and 1420 and 1430 Terra Hills Drive. So basically, that's the Appian Professional Plaza. The project has a total area 5.23 acres that's being subdivided. It's in the Appian Way service sub-area, and has a zoning of a OPMU, Office Professional Mixed Use. Tonight, you have the authority to approve tentative maps for fewer lots, as well as make the California Environmental Quality Act determination. So basically what we're doing is that the property owner is looking to subdivide the property into two parcels, one which is 0.86, and the other parcel is 4.37. So when you look at the map that I've included as part of your packet, proposed lot 1 is the parcel would be adjacent to Appian Way. The rest of the buildings would be included as part of lot 2. With all the rest of the buildings. The McDonald's parcel and the other Appian Associates co-partnership building is not a part of this project. So even though it's in the Appian Medical Plaza, we are not doing anything with those lots in terms of the subdivision that we're looking at tonight. So the parcel map request doesn't include any physical changes of the property. So I've kind of put on the screen basically a Google map of the property. The property isn't changing in any way. There's no building construction. There's no building additions, subtractions. They're not removing any parking or adding any parking. They're not reconfiguring any of the parcels or any of the buildings at this point. And so they're basically doing this to make the building more for condominium purposes. So what'll happen is once the city approves if the city approves the tentative map, then they have the ability to go to DRE, which is the Department of Real Estate, to then subdivide into a condo map, so up to 36 units. So each of the offices and their opinion area could be parcels. We don't get involved in that portion of it because we're just looking at the physical boundaries of the lots, not necessarily the buildings. So at this point, the project, as stated, has a general plan land use designation of service area, which is intended to maintain existing land uses while providing land use flexibility and incentives to encourage new private investment and additional development. And of course, the Appian Way corridor, which is outlined in our 3-corridor specific plan, is intended to maintain and enhance the regional gateway area into Pinole and capitalize on freeway access to upgrade existing development and attract a desirable mix of commercial, office services, and residential uses. The property also has a specific planned land use of Office Professional Mixed Use, which allows the development of large office buildings and business parks with supporting retail service uses, as well as other uses outlined in the specific plan. So basically in your packet, figure 1 shows the proposed project site. The property owners may submit an application to request a parcel map through the Community Development Department if new lots meet minimum lot requirements for the zoning district and other applicable standards. Under section 16.12040, the Pinole Municipal Code, the Planning Commission is the approval authority for such maps. The proposed subdivision is not intended to change, like I said, any physical aspect of the existing property or the property's as proposed under the entitled lot separation. The tentative map consists of basically drawing new lot lines to form 2 new parcels. And I've outlined that in the colored photo as part of Figure 2 in your packet. As part of, there is no proposed change to the circulation or access, so all of the driveways are existing. They won't be, they're not, at this point, they are not changing any of the ingress or egress, either from Appian Way or from Terra Hills Drive. The project will have sufficient access. This project does have sufficient access to public streets, and basically I've shown the lot configuration. I've outlined, as part of the general plan consistency, I've outlined policies, basically community character, policies from the land use development area of the general plan, and basically looking at this project is compatible with the vision of the subservice area of the general plan. Designation has no changes in use or being proposed as a part of this project. Additionally, the division of the site could provide more opportunities and flexibilities for different ownership for the development of the site. The establishment of access easements on the property and integration of reciprocal parking agreements as proposed in the draft conditions of approval would establish circulation and parking connections between each of the subdivided parcels and that maintain an interconnected site. This project, when it was originally developed as the Appian Professional Plaza, had cross-access agreements for all the different parcels. This lot has had some different experiences in terms of subdivision. It was first developed as a parcel, as a one lot subdivision with 2 pads, the McDonald's pad and the pad for the professional building. In 2019, it was subdivided into 3 parcels, which was the long parcel, the 5.23 acres that are being subdivided tonight. Was parcel number 1. Parcel number 2, lot number 2 was the McDonald's, and then lot number 3 was the other professional office pad as part of the project. As part of that project, all the access agreements and parking access agreements were, as well as ingress and egress agreements, were approved as part of that project as well. So in terms of this project, both parcels will have access to Appian Way and Terra Hills Drive, which are public roads. It's conditioned by the condition of approval number 4 in the draft resolution through an easement or agreement for reciprocal access and parking between the 2 parcels. Free movement of circulation and parking will be maintained between the 2 parcels. Therefore, the driveway access from the site to Terra Hills and Appian Way would be used again by both parcels. The lot size, there's really, in the OPMU zone district, there is no lot minimum standard. The existing parcel is approximately 227,000 square feet, which each parcel 1, which is the small parcel, the 0.86, has 37,000 square feet. Lot number 2 is approximately 190,357 square feet, or 4.37 acres. So since there is no lot minimum, they both are consistent and comply with the general plan. As far as the frontage, again, there's no minimum frontage in this OPMU zone district. The existing parcel, even though it doesn't necessarily front on Terra Hills Drive, it does have access, and so that's the 1,249 feet on the existing parcel in terms of frontage, because since the access, the driveways of that are interconnected, so I included that as part of the frontage. Lot 1 has about 380 feet, which is all along Appian Way. And of course, Lot 2 has 869 feet total, which is the new Lot 2 of the particular project. So the 1249 is the whole parcel. The 380 is parcel 1, and Lot 2 is 869. All of those comply. The slope of the project, which that's another one of your standards, is 10% of slope for no more than 30% of the lot. There is none of that on the property. So both the existing parcel complies as well as the new lots comply. Basically, because there is no change to the existing lots. I mean, all the buildings are pretty much existing. As part of the Subdivision Map Act, the code identifies findings in which a parcel map can be denied, and of course, I've listed A through G as part of the tentative map. It makes any of the following findings. In terms of staff's comments, staff, after reviewing the above statements for denial A through G, staff has determined that none of these statements apply and that the parcel map meets the existing standards of the City of Pinole Municipal Code, and staff recommends approval of the project. As part of those findings, the proposed subdivision creates no change to the existing or proposed land use on the property and would not be inconsistent with the general plan or specific plan. The proposed subdivision does not propose physical improvements related to creating the new parcels. All of the improvements are there existing. The proposed subdivision does not propose new development. Further, as condition, the property will maintain reciprocal access and parking between the two parcels. The existing and planned use for the site will not change as a result of the subdivision. The proposed subdivision does not involve new design or improvements that could result in substantial environmental damage or substantially injure fish or wildlife or their habitats. Again, the buildings aren't changing. It's just really the lot line for the ability to provide for condominiums, office condominiums. The proposed subdivision does not involve any new design or improvements that could cause serious public health problems. And G, the proposed subdivision does not involve any new design or improvements that would conflict with public access easements or access through or use of the site. Further, as condition, the property will include a reciprocal parking access agreement to maintain circulation and parking access between the two parcels. So as part of this project, as part of the environmental review, the California Environmental Quality Act provides the categorical exemptions, which are applicable to categories of projects and activities that lead agencies has determined generally do not pose the risk of significant impacts for the environment. This project is exempt under Section 15313 of the CEQA guidelines, minor land subdivisions. It also meets the Section 15301 section of the California Environmental Quality Act. And basically, the public notification, I've outlined the public notification process that we use for this project. And basically, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2403, which is Exhibit A of your packet, approving the subdivision of one lot into two lots at 1310 through 1330 and 1410 and 1420 Terry Hills Drive and 2150 and 2160 Appian Way, as part of the subdivision map application 2401 with APN number 402-280-005. At this point, that ends my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. That's all I have for you tonight on this item. Thank you.
All right, so I'll defer my questions for now so we can go ahead and go through all of the various other commissioners' questions. I'd also like to welcome Commissioner Lamb-Julian, who has now joined us, and inform the rest of the commission I received an ex parte communication from Commissioner Martinez saying he regrets he won't be able to attend tonight. So, Commissioner Sandoval, do you have any questions about this item?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Since it's a mixed-use parcel, what kind of housing could be potentially built in the future if that's a development that was chosen?
If they were to put housing on this development, they could build this. What is the specific plan, which is 20 to 35 units per acre.
Thank you. That's my only question.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian?
Just one question. So if they were to build housing on there, would it come back to planning again?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would have to come back to this. They couldn't convert any conversion of the existing buildings would have to come back to the planning commission. So if they, let's say, building 4 of their project, they wanted to convert into into apartments, they would have to come back to the commission because that's a total change in use, which would signify a comprehensive design review, which would then come back to the planning commission.
Okay, thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Commissioner Oosh?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hui?
is the division of the parcels intended solely to be used for housing, or were there other considerations for uses of this second parcel?
No, I mean, all the parcels is basically, they're keeping all of the professional offices. There's going to be no residential as part of this project, which that's allowed in OPMU. An OPMU zoned parcel doesn't have to have a residential on it. It can, depending on the description of the project, but this project will be maintaining all the professional offices. And when I say condominiums, it's like office condominiums as part of an HOA, not housing condominiums. So there is no housing proposed for this project. All the buildings are being used for professional offices at this point. So it will allow for the applicant to take this parcel map and go to DRE and do their condo map as part of that process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bender?
My question disappeared after reading the staff report, but then looking at Exhibit B, the vesting tentative parcel map, and realized that the drive between proposed Lot 2 and Terry Hills Drive is in fact part of the Lot 2. So I have no questions.
Right, yeah.
All right, so I guess my question somewhat follows up on Commissioner Hui's question. So when staff comment says A, there's no change to the existing or proposed land uses on the property, that means that, we're not considering any potential future land uses that the owners of the property could do on this new smaller parcel. We're just considering the division with how it's stated today is basically there being no intended changes at this time.
Right, and we're just dealing with the subdivision of the lot. If there were any changes, like I said, if there's any changes of use to the property, then because of the nature of the zoning, they'd come back for a comprehensive design review. So if there are any changes above 500 square, I think it's 500 square feet, yeah, which in this case would be, these buildings are pretty big, so any small little adjustment, it would have to come back to the commission for that review. So for this item, there is no, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? There really is no division, or there is no added use to the project. It's just going to remain the professional office use that it is right now for both parcels.
All right. I also have some questions about our conditions of approval. Would this be the appropriate time to bring them up, or would it be after the public hearing?
You can ask the questions now if you'd like.
All right, so on page number 2 of our conditions approval, condition number 5, site parking, after the avoid a reduction in net parking spaces on site period, there's a space and a comma sort of floating after that. Is there supposed to be another sentence there that isn't currently?
On condition number 2?
Condition number 5.
Oh, 5, I'm sorry. No, that comma should be deleted.
Okay. And
Carried away.
then on page number 3,
Okay.
condition number 8 doesn't have a period ending it. Is that the full condition, or is there supposed to be other stuff there?
No, that's just the full condition.
Okay, and then finally, condition number 9 talks about a homeowners association. Are there any households on the parcels that are being subdivided?
No, but as part of that's just the avenue that they use besides the CCNR. So because it's a multi-use, it could be multi-tenant, multi-use. They use the homeowners association as the governing body for the subdivision, for the condominiums. So even though I know it sounds odd, but it's either owners association, but we use HOA for that.
Okay, so it's basically a business owners association.
Yeah,
but
it's
they
a
call
business
it a
own-
homeowners
Yeah.
association.
Yeah, and all those documents will be reviewed by our city attorney prior to them submitting their maps. So to make sure they're all meet everything we need to meet.
All right, that's all of my questions for the moment. So at this point, I will now go ahead and open the public hearing and ask the applicant if they wish to make a presentation.
Good evening. My name is Mark Heavey. I'm one of the partners of C3 Development. And
tenants. So what we do is buy projects like this, and we don't, as David said, we don't do any really physical improvements except enhancing the buildings. We'll do a lot of work on the interiors, but then by recording a commercial condominium map, we allow the doctors, many who've been there for years, to become owners instead of tenants. This property is currently owned by a group of doctors who built it decades ago and are retiring, and some of their heirs have now taken over. And people have been there for years, and it's become somewhat stale. So what we do is allow, in this project and all of our projects, allow those tenants to have the benefits of becoming owners, have the pride of ownership of maintaining that owners association, making sure the landscaping is done, making sure that tenants are, the current owners are behaving per the CC&Rs, which we do. So this is all we do. We have a specialized team of it. And we just think this is an excellent opportunity to bring fresh light and air into this project that has become stale. And we've talked to a number of the existing tenants. They're very anxious to buy. These are doctors, dentists, surgeons who've spent a lot of money in their suites to get them customized for their patients and their equipment. So they like the control and ownership of that. They can get 90% SBA financing. They can lock in their cost of ownership. They don't have landlords changing the rules, not renewing leases, or saying we're going to knock down your unit and build a bunch of houses when they've invested so much in the unit and in their customer base. So we've worked with Dave and Justin throughout this process. We agree with all of their conditions. We've gone through a couple of issues, most of them being communication, but I think everybody's gone through that. So we appreciate all their work and appreciate your consideration, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's see. I believe we should probably wait on commission questions until after persons in favor of and opposed to the project have been given the opportunity to speak. So are there any persons wishing to speak in favor of the project?
I don't see anyone online right now.
Are there any persons wishing to speak opposed to the project?
Yep, no persons online at the moment.
So given that, there's no need for the applicant to provide a rebuttal, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And we can now discuss the project among the commission. And I guess the first question I'd ask is, do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant after their presentation? Commissioner Sandoval?
Thank you, Chair. Yes. Give you a sec to walk back up there. Yeah, my question was, did you have any other plans for redevelopment of the lots, or is just the?
No. Our goal is to put the condominium map on after we do this, sell it to the doctors, establish the association, per all the rules that David was talking about, and then they become the owners. We exit the board, they control the board, and they can do whatever they want over time.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you. Commissioner Lamb-Julian?
Hi there. What is the percentage of vacancies? How many vacant spaces do you have?
It's about 50% vacant now. As the current ownership has gotten to the point they don't want to invest any money into the building, and the current tenants require tenant improvement allowances, they've decided not to do that and just kind of let those tenants move out, not re-tenanted the spaces, and then just put it up for sale. So it really is a good time for us to get involved in this project, because for us, to some degree, where other people don't like the vacancies, we like to have inventory. So we're scheduled to buy the property beginning of next month. We've already been working with the contractor. We're already set to go in and start refreshing those units, and then we'll start our sales campaign and have inventory for doctors to move in right away.
And then in your experience, how long do you think or estimate that it'll take to go ahead and fill out?
Typically, start to finish, once we get our map, it's 2 years to sell out all the units. One of the things is there are some leases in place, and those tenants maintain those rights, so we can't kick anybody out. We offer everybody a chance to buy, and existing tenants will give them a discount just because it saves them a bunch of time and money and us if they stay. But if they are finishing their careers or for whatever reasons don't want to buy, then they'll finish their lease out, and then at that point we'll refresh the unit and then put it on the market.
Can you clarify when you say refresh, just paint?
Paint, carpet, yeah. A lot of the improvements, some of them have been 40 years old medical improvements. So we go through every unit. We say this one we got to start from scratch, and this one we just have to paint and fix some of the ceiling tiles or those kind of things. But it's really a facelift.
Okay, would it be? Oh, so some of these refreshments that you would be doing, would you maybe transition to more greener touches to it, so they'd be reduce the carbon?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, we got to think about who's going to buy, who's our customer. Our customers are doctors who are serving their clients, and they'll want everything we can do to keep it, state-of-the-art construction. So again, we typically don't do a ton of work, but we'll absolutely consider that.
Okay, thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Commissioner Uch?
Hello. I understand that the lots won't have any physical changes, but for your sellers who are mostly going to be, like you said, professionals like doctors, correct?
Correct.
So I guess in the future, would it be possible, this is for a question for David, would it be possibilities of like infill development within these lots?
I don't think, no, I mean, the lot's pretty much built out unless they were to demolish buildings and they got much denser, meaning they went a little higher, they got more units put on them that way. But no, I mean, the lots are pretty much, or unless they just tore down the whole thing and redid the whole thing. I mean, that'd be the only way that it would get, new buildings. But the way that they're doing this project is none of those buildings are being torn down. They're only being refreshed, which would be tenant improvements, which would be permits through the city. I mean, they'd have to get their permits through the city and all that for whatever work they're doing. And so that's kind of how that would go on that.
Thank you for the clarification. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Hui?
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any tenants that are currently have a lease and they actually don't want to buy the space? They would prefer to continue leasing?
Yeah, we probably do. I don't know any at the top of my head. But again, they have their lease and can stay. What we see much more is there's a a dental building right on the other side of the school that's a tenant occupied building. We would expect a bunch of those dentists to come over to our spot, and then therefore creating some vacancies for those to go in, because there are many chances to lease, but as you've seen by the fact that we're dealing with commercial condos and it's a kind of a foreign concept, is there are very few opportunities to do this. And this is a very little niche that we do. We've been doing it for over 20 years, and we like the business because, again, we think it's a win for the doctor. One of the concerns they have, and we're seeing this in other markets, especially in Southern California, people are buying buildings like this and knocking them down and building high-rise residential. But all of a sudden, they don't have a place to practice their business. So this gives them some control. So most of the majority of the buyers like to control their real estate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bender? No questions. Thank you. And for my questions, I guess the thing that I'm sort of confused about is it sounds like originally this sort of doctor's complex, I don't know whether it was literally called Doctor's Hospital or not, was created as sort of a shared ownership thing that sounds similar to what you're describing, but now it's a bunch of leases. So did something change, or were they just fundamentally based on a different ownership structure?
Yeah, my understanding is that there was a small group of doctors who built this, and then they would build the original part of the project and would add to it over time. But they kept ownership of all of it. So there is a board of a number of doctors. I don't think any of them are still practicing in the project, and there's a bunch of the heirs who are on the board, and they own it. But again, I don't think any of the existing tenants who occupy the space have any ownership interest at all.
I see. So this basically just allows you to restructure the ownership of the building so you can sell it to the tenants, effectively speaking.
Exactly. And then we sell the individual unit. They're not a partner. It's just like residential, as David says, just like a residential condo. You own it. You own the inside of the walls, and as long as you abide by the CC&Rs, you can do what you want. So nobody can come in and say, we're going to knock down your building and build residential like they could now if we are going to buy this.
All right, that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, so now that we've had our questions of the applicant, do any of the commissioners have questions of staff? I'll go in the opposite direction this time. Commissioner Bender? No. Commissioner Hui?
No.
Commissioner Uch?
No.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian?
No.
Commissioner Sandoval?
No.
And I've already addressed my questions to staff, so would anyone like to make a motion on this item? I'll move that the Planning Commission approve Planning Commission Resolution 24-03 with Exhibit A, its conditions of approval, resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Pinole, County of Contra Costa, State of California, approving a tentative parcel map, parentheses, SM24-01, close parentheses, to establish a two-lot subdivision at 2150 and 2160 Appian Way, 1310, 1320, 1330, 1410, 1420 Terra Hills Drive, APN 402-281-005, with the typographical modifications to the conditions of approval already discussed.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Uch,
Yes.
Commissioner Huey,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandoval,
Yes.
Commissioner Bender,
Yes.
Chair Menace.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
601 technically with one absence, but thank you. Thank you for taking the time to present to us this evening. I appreciate it. All right, with that, we move on to, yes, I should also probably go over the appeal procedure again in case anyone wants to appeal this. I discussed it earlier, but for completeness, we have approved this item tonight. If someone wishes to appeal, you may file an appeal with the city clerk in writing within 10 days of our action. And following a public hearing, the city council may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the planning commission. The cost to appeal a decision is $500 with a minimum $2,500 deposit fee. Now, old business, we have none. New business, we have none. City planners and commissioners report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a few things tonight. One is that we're moving forward with an extension for the Pinole Vista project. That'll be going to the council on the 20th. So they're looking to extend their project for another couple of years. They've had some financing issues and that are going, but they want to hold their entitlements. So they still want to build the project. They're just working with a couple of developers or a couple people to help finance it. In terms of projects, we're working on a lot of administrative stuff. We're working on the parklet program. Met with the ad hoc committee this last week, so we got a good format. So we're going to start putting that together, getting ready to bring that to you hopefully before the end of the year. We are working on a zone ordinance text amendment that we'll probably be taking to the ad hoc committee next week. I think, Justin, we're taking them next week to review. Looking to move that forward. Most of these items are cleanup items for state law, housing laws, those types of things for our zoning ordinance. as part of our housing element update. That was one of the programs that we have, and so we're working on that. We are working also on I'm still working on the objective development design standards. I should have something hopefully have something to the commission. We're in August, September, in October. It's got pushed back a couple dates, a couple months, but I'm working on that and hopefully get that to you guys fairly shortly. In terms of our existing projects, as you can see, Appian Village is moving a lot of dirt. So they're doing all their rough grading, putting all in their utilities, doing all that. They've got a building permit in to review the buildings. 11 out of the 26 buildings, we're working on their final map. And so we're moving forward with that project. Saha is getting pretty close. I see painting on the building, so they're moving forward. Vista Woods is getting closer and closer to occupying. They've got some issues, but they're working on those. The BCRE project, we're working with the property owner I think they're finally finalizing a project in El Cerrito. They've done their grading plan, or they've submitted their grading plan. And so they're moving forward on their project. The Pinole Shores 2 project, we finalized their map, and that looks like it'll be recorded here hopefully in the next probably few weeks. And they're working with their professionals and getting their building plans moving forward. They hopefully will be submitting plans in the next before the end of the year. They want to try to get in the next building cycle to try to build their building. So they're moving forward. So all of our development projects that we've approved over the last couple of years are moving forward. As part of Pinole Vista, we approved their affordable housing agreement, so we did do that. We approved their lot line adjustment. We had a little lot line adjustment that they did. So everybody's moving. Everybody's moving their projects along, and some are faster than others, but they're all moving in the right direction. So with that, that's all I have. Unless Justin, do you have anything you can think of?
I just wanted to note that the city has updated their website recently. You may have seen that as well. And as part of that update, we've also, the Community Development Department has established an online permitting system as well. So all building and planning permits could be applied online now. So just wanted to note that.
Thanks,
That's been
Justin.
implemented.
And we also have a kiosk in City Hall. So if people are having problems at home, they can always come to City Hall, and we can help them get through the process of the online permitting. So with that, yeah, thanks. That was good. That was a big lift. We're still going through that. That was we'll probably be going through that with colleagues. But that was a big deal. So really proud of the staff for all the work all they've done on that project. A lot of work's gone into it. So looking forward to making that happen.
Yeah, that must have been a major thing, shifting over entirely from paper-based to an entirely online system and setting up a proper kiosk at City Hall. Kudos to you folks for getting that done. So let's see, I guess Commissioner reports, so I'll go straight to the left. Commissioner Sandoval, anything to report?
Nope, nothing to report.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian, anything to report?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Commissioner Uch, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Hui, anything to report?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Bender, anything to report?
No.
And as for myself, I don't think I have anything to report because most of the things I've worked on have been in the ad hoc subcommittee, and I can't talk about those yet because it's not agendized. So let's go ahead and move on to our communications.
Okay.
At the last, oh wait, do we have any public comments on this
I
item?
do see a hand raised, Chair. This is caller with a phone number ending in 5748.
All right,
so
go ahead.
When he is ready, he can press *6 to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask planning director Hannum, or manager Hannum, can he give the planning commission and the city of Pinole public an update on the Union 76 gas station convenience store project on Appian Way and Fitzgerald Drive, because it seems to be dragging on and on and on and on. And I understand if it didn't clear permitting from the beginning, and if the things were done properly by the city of Pinole with regard to a lot of the electrical conduits that seem to be one of the major problems right now, it would have been a done deal several months ago. But it's not a work in progress when there's no progress in work. So we can't keep pushing it off to somebody else. So that's our tax dollars that we're losing, and it's a sore black eye for the city of Pinole to have it all fenced off with canvas and everything. There's a few lights on in their parking lot, but the business has yet to open. Also, is anything going on with the large empty lot property across from Pinole Valley Road? On Pinole Valley Road across from the Pinole Valley High School corner next to the storage unit and library. And also, is there anything going on with the 2-year now vacant and some city-owned caretaker's house property on Adobe Road adjacent to the Barbecue Grove and Dog Park? That's been vacant for so long, and I'd like to find out. I was told by 2 people, they went to the city hall to apply for that property to either be the new caretaker and or to be a tenant to rent the property. And they were told by one of the city clerks there that they couldn't afford it. But they took the application, or didn't take their application, and they said that the rent was going to be for that caretaker's house around $5,000 a month. So to dissuade people from wanting to rent it at that price maybe. But what's the real story behind why the city has to not rent that property out or use it as a multi-use property with the garden club and like a historical society museum, or sell the property so they don't have to raise our taxes every year for the next 5 years or every 5 years. And then finally, what's going on with the old animal shelter property, which was supposed to be taken over by the Fix-It Pharaohs company people over there on Pinole, on San Pablo Avenue in Pinole. It's still vacant with no new tenant there. I know it's part of another property owner, but the word out on the street, if you haven't heard, and from several reliable sources, is that the original tenant, which was Contra Costa Animal Shelter of Martinez, was behind in their rent by 2 or 3 or 4 months, and they didn't want to pay their back rent up, and then they went to the landlord and asked the landlord if they could file for a nonprofit designation to erase their rent or not charge them any rent moving forward. And that's when the landlord got upset and told him he's not going to agree to that, and that I guess they both agreed to disagree.
You have 30 seconds
and
remaining.
they moved out, and now it's still vacant, a vacant property there. And it's very interesting, but we're going to have a presentation by the new director of the animal shelter in Martinez, so maybe they can explain themselves out of that, because we have no services in West Contra Costa County for animal shelter, and we're paying over $250,000 a year for that and the library services as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this item?
There are no other public comments.
All right, so Mr. Hannum, can you answer any of those questions?
Answer a few of them, yes. In terms of the 7-Eleven, we have had major issues with PG&E on this project. Major issues. We've got poles that need to be removed. There's a bunch of things that have to get that PG&E has to complete prior to them being able to open and being able to get their position to open their business. They do have electricity to the site, but there's some conduit that they've got to remove. There's a lot of different things, a lot of intricate things that they have to do before we can let the building go. So we're working, from my understanding is the applicant, the property owner is working with PG&E to get on their schedule. I don't know if you've ever tried to work with PG&E on some of these projects, but it can be fairly difficult. They're very busy. They got time that, you get on their schedule and it's months and months out. So hopefully they are, because I think the building's been finalized. Well, it hasn't been finalized in the sense that because of the PG&E stuff, but I mean, they're pretty much done with most of the construction on the project. It's just waiting for PG&E to do what they need to do. Regarding the caretaker's home, I'd have to refer that to the community, our new community services director. I'm not quite sure what they're doing with the caretaker's house and regarding the rent and the application for rent. I haven't heard anything of that nature, what the caller suggested, but I'm not quite sure where that's at. In terms of the animal shelter, again, we were having that presentation by animal control, so I'm sure they're going to be able to answer that questions. Those are usually admin issues that are handled up at the city manager level. So those we don't really see that unless there's some type of development on the property. So we're not quite sure where all that is. In terms, see, that was the animal shelter, 7-Eleven. What's that? Yeah, a lot. We've had a lot of and I think what he's talking about is the vacant lot at the corner of Ramona and San Pablo. Yeah, we've had a lot of interest on that lot for a lot of different things. However, the uses that are being proposed aren't allowed within the zone district that parcel has, and so we've been to the ad hoc a few times with some of the uses. This was in the past and didn't really want to see something of those types of businesses there. So we're trying to look at what else can go on that property. So that's one of our, I think that's one of our main properties within our Pinole Valley Road specific plan area. So we're looking at different uses to be able to go on that property. The property is about a half an acre. A little less than a half an acre, so it's not that big. I mean, in terms for a commercial property, most people are looking for an acre nowadays. Most commercial type properties, so it's relatively small. The uses that have been proposed, like I said, they're not allowed. So if they do want to propose that, it doesn't stop them from proposing it, but they'd have to go through a lot of different hurdles to do that. They'd have to do zoning ordinance amendments, specific plan amendments, all sorts of amendments to make those uses go forward. So there's a whole bunch of findings and stuff that has to be made, and both the planning commission and the city council have to approve them. So it's some of those tasks developers don't want to go through. It's a long process, and the odds are, we don't know what the odds are 50-50, but they're not, at least at this point, they're not willing to invest into all of that to make that happen. So. So that property will continue to be vacant. It does have permitted uses on the property. I mean, for the property, it's just those types of uses hasn't come forward yet to the city. If they do, then we'll process them accordingly based on the development proposal that's being proposed. So, so we've talked to, like I said, we've talked to a number of different businesses, but they haven't, and developers and realtors and all sorts of people on that property. But a lot of the uses that want to go there, they've got to go through the long journey of amending everything. So, well, I mean, they're kind of like, I can't give specific businesses, but just I'll put drive-through uses. So drive-throughs aren't allowed in the CMU zone district in the Pinole Valley specific plan. So that's the way it is. So they can only be sit-down restaurants there. That's permitted. You can do sit-down restaurants there. So we haven't had a lot of those come by for that piece of property. So and there are others. I mean, you can do office uses. You can do residential. 49% of it can be a residential lot, or it could be 100% residential if they do community benefits. So I mean, there are things that can be done with the property. It's just none of those uses have come forward to us to process. So So that's where we're going there. Anything else? Yeah, I think hopefully I've answered all the questions. Unless anyone, staff or commission has any clarifications they need, that's all I have.
As far as I can tell, that covered all of Mr. Vosbrink's questions. So with that, given there was no other public comment, we could go ahead and move on to communications. And the communication that I wanted to highlight tonight was to give the commission an opportunity to recognize our former Commissioner Tim Banuelos, who's no longer with us, so we didn't have a chance to recognize his contributions previously because we didn't know he was going to be leaving in his last meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the various commissioners from my right to my left. So Commissioner Bender, do you have any comments you want to make in that regard?
No, other than I certainly appreciated having a fellow architect, if you will, on the commission. He did serve a number of years, and his contributions were very much appreciated.
All right. Commissioner Hui, you have any comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Uch, any comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Lam-Julian, any comments?
I would like to echo Commissioner Bender's sentiments, thanking former Commissioner Banuelos for his dedication to the community, for his many years of service on this commission. And I want to say it was nice getting to know him at the Planning Commissioners Conference, and just get to know him as a person. It was just lovely working with him. Thank you.
Commissioner Sandoval?
Yeah, just echoing some of the same things Commissioner Bender and Commissioner Lam-Julian had mentioned. Appreciate working with him and wishing him the best.
Well, I really enjoyed working with Commissioner Banuelos. You could see his expertise both as an architect and as a past planning commissioner and council member in the way that he approached a bunch of different projects, our housing element revision, some of the particular projects that he was here to look at. I still remember that one time where he identified a door that was going to be opening right into a car that none of the rest of us had managed to notice, but he was an architect. He caught it. I also appreciated, as the other commissioners who went to the Planning Commissioners Academy noted, getting to know him a bit better at said academy. And I think it's a bit of a pity that he wasn't able to use the skills that he gained at that academy to the benefit of the city for very long. I appreciated his service on the commission and wish him the best in his future endeavors. Do we have any public comments?
We do have a comment from the caller with a phone number ending in 5748.
All right, go ahead.
So when he is ready, please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to extend on behalf of Pinole, myself, and people who knew Mr. Banuelos for his time and service to the city of Pinole in various forms. And it was it's a sad day or time for as a result of Mr. Banuelos, who was vetted for the position or to renew his position on the Planning Commission, and he was re-volunteered or re-upped for that. However, from what I heard and what I've seen from various sources, it was approved by the setting committee, which involved 2 city council people, but unfortunately, our city council isn't always on board with the other 2 members and the majority rules. So he was basically voted out or pushed out of that position. And it's a sad day for Pinole moving forward that we lost a good citizen, Pinolean, engineer, architectural engineer with vast experience in planning and design, both in the private and public sector like that. But I hope that this isn't a sign of more things to come with the current city council body that we have that pretty much runs the show with the majority of the rule. And again, our thanks go out to Mr. Banuelos, and maybe he can reapply someday if he won't harbor any hard feelings towards anybody. Thanks again. Bye now.
Thank you. And I guess I should ask, do any of the other commissioners have communications they'd like to offer? So Commissioner Sandoval?
No.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Uch?
No.
Commissioner Hui?
No.
Commissioner Bender?
No.
All right. For my communication, I'd like to note, just as sort of a public information announcement, that there's going to be the low-income seniors food thing tomorrow, I believe, at the senior center. It's not on the city's calendar with the new website set up the way it is, but it's still on the community development subpage, which is why I'm saying this, because it's a little bit less clear. There's also going to be coffee with the city on Wednesday from 8 to 10, and there's going to be a traffic and pedestrian safety committee meeting on Wednesday if people are interested in any of those topics. And I think that's all the communications I have for the moment. So our next regular meeting will be on August 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. And with that, I now adjourn this week's meeting.